We know Atlanta as the center of explosive growth, of course. Millennials and Gen Xers are crowding coffee shops and belt-lined sidewalks, often strolling by treasures of the civil rights movement.
Well, CBS 46 special assignment reporter Sally Sears uncovered the story of one house in particular called Freedom House.
This street in the old Fourth Ward used to look pretty shabby until recently. Now it's bustling with the reconstruction of the elementary school where Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. began his education. And right across the street is another important building.
And when I was driving for Dr. King and Mrs. King, I would come pick up the groceries right there. That was Dennerman's.
On a rainy winter day, I buckled up for a civil rights special tour with Atlanta's living history legend, Tom Houck. He was a chauffeur for Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Coretta. And Tom is amazed and a little amused at the changes in the neighborhood.
This has been afflu-hiptized, and it does not look like that did in the old SNCC days.
It does not look like a boarding house. Particularly this house on John Wesley Dobbs Avenue.
This is the old Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, Freedom House.
That's the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, universally called SNCC, led by a young John Lewis in the mid-1960s.
Freedom houses were places where people came back from the movement.
Yes.
Out in the field. Atlanta was the base.
Freedom House, a place for civil rights marchers to stay between their jail sentences and the next march.
Ruby Doris Robinson was in SNCC, and she stayed here. She was a cousin of our mayor.
And here is where the cracks began to show within the 1960s civil rights struggle itself. Nonviolence or black power, integrating or black separatism, John Lewis or Stokely Carmichael.
And John Lewis lived here. He was head of SNCC. I mean, so he believed in white people and black people working together for social justice and change. And that's what he did. And then Stokely got quite a few people on the SNCC staff to stay with his more militant philosophy. And John was actually voted out as chairman of SNCC.
You mean John Lewis lost an election?
He actually lost an election to Stokely Carmichael. Stokely Carmichael was the last person from SNCC to live here. And he left here in '66.
The family that bought and renovated the house is raising a young family here. They're private folks, glad to know a little bit more about the history of the house. They already know some of it. But here's a clue. They've got a big portrait of Nelson Mandela in the living room. On John Wesley Dobbs Avenue, I'm Sally Sears, CBS 46 News.